Privilege of the floor. Mr. Nichols. You're not gonna hold it.
Because of the insults I suffered earlier. 3 minutes to prove that they were well deserved. Just a couple things. As you know, I brought up before the traffic problems on 281. Still haven't seen any changes in the speed limits. And it's a wild scene. Sure, my councilman knows that. So I'd like us to keep working with the state, try and reduce the speed limit in the city section. It isn't a big deal. Bring it down to 30 miles an hour. We have on both ends excessive speed, 45 miles an hour going through Portlandville, coming from, racing into the city. So I'm still asking you to do something about that. And I found another problem that I thought I'd bring to your attention. Corner of 281 and Bellevue comes together in front of that little church right there. It's very dark for vehicles to try and see at night to make a left-hand turn or a right-hand turn in there. It's very dangerous. Need another overhead light in that intersection, like that area. And of course, my continuing complaint that we've been working on is the lack of speed limit signs in the Bellevue, Hillcrest, Rosewood, Ridgeview area. If you observe along 281 streets entering the city, such as Wheeler Ave, Madison Street, Groton Avenue, they all are clearly marked. The speed limit is no overnight parking and no vehicles accessible. So I bring that to your attention to try to get those signs erected in the neighborhood. The second thing I wanted to bring up was mentioned a couple of weeks ago about the city offering Medicare Advantage to retired employees. I just thought it was curious, the day that appeared in the Portland Standard. I received a letter from Family Care Medical. They represent my primary care doctors, Fisher Ave. My name is Dr. Noble. And this particular letter is announcing that I better look for another doctor because Blue Cross Blue Shield and Excellus may not cover that group anymore. And I've heard this is going on throughout the state. And I thought it was interesting. The council voted to go forward with Medicare Advantage. I received this letter. And then today I received Aetna Medicare program telling me about what the benefits are of Medicare Advantage program. So I just point these things out to you because they're raising so many questions among the retired employees. And but you should be aware, all of a sudden we're recipients of all kinds of information. And then a couple of side notes, and I'll get out of your hair. October 19th, this Saturday, starting at 9 o'clock at Capitol on North Main Street, they're offering free coats to people that need them, winter coats. So the kind of Capitol user. Right now, Berry School is asking for donations for young people. Socks, coats, clothing, winter. So I'm a little bit involved in that, bringing those items to Berry School. And last, I just want to tell you, having had the opportunity to drive around for over 40 years in one of your vehicles, I had the opportunity to observe garbage, trash, and tin cans, plastic bags, cardboard boxes, you name it, all over the city for all those years. I believe it. I've been reading in the newspaper. The tow program you established years ago, I believe it's working. I just drove here from where I live down to my neighborhood. Yesterday was, even though it's a holiday, that tow has been removed. Driving down Madison Street, I saw 2 still on the curb before I turned. Overall, I think that your program to establish the garbage has worked. yes, there are times when you see the garbage, the cardboard boxes sticking out of the top of the recycling bin. But on a positive note, I think it's really, I know it's based upon my experience. It looked pretty good.
Yeah, thanks, Chief. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Nichols.
Thank you to comment what he said about the crack stuff. I know Scott's working on, it, Jim, and you know as well as we know, you're dealing with the state of New York. It's not gonna happen this month, not gonna happen next month, you're lucky if it happens next year, but.
Well, Mr. Carpenter told me it took 3 years.
Yeah.
to put it in.
Yeah.
It's just-
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else wants to speak? It's on the first report. That said, we'll go to the mayor's report. So real quick, I'm touching the retiree health insurance real quick while you're talking about that. None of those mailings had anything to do with this city. Shield is, this is a national problem, not just, they're having a lot of negotiations with different hospitals, and that could change the way, I have an executive meeting tomorrow with a consortium, that could be the way, changing ways of not having Blue Cross Blue Shield. It might be a consideration to do that, not to start panic, but if these keep going the way they are, they lose their lion's share of being able to be in the networks that we all take as a convenience in our community. That goes out, we would have to consider something different, which would be a difficult situation for us and all of us, because once we get out of the plan we have, it's hard to get one ever to release. Do everything we can to not have it happen, but we got to pay attention to that, but that's a national growing. Pay attention to, hopefully you can come around and get to the table where these hospitals and providers need to be. So a couple of things, Pumpkin Fest, since the last meeting, we had Pumpkin Fest, I was able to do the costume judging for the kids with, that's a good time. Also, Captain Everett and myself were able to actually win the, best entree.
And Captain, did that?
Yeah.
That's why, you wouldn't say that, but you know, I got
It took,
it. I can tell.
it took a little bit, but, you know, that trash talking, I can keep it up. You know, so, that's what helped, right? The
Yes, well,
trash
that's
talking,
absolutely,
politicking and
yeah,
getting. votes.
absolutely.
That was
I
all
just
we-
cook, I don't talk. He did
The good chicken riggies, we gotta give him the credit.
I need the recipe.
That's. Hopefully he'll, share some of his, good cooking at our, Christmas party we had this year. Wow. Try that then. So that was, good news. And then, last weekend, we put together an event, DAV. From DAV to DAV, they contacted their commander down in North Carolina, and I'll give the contact here, there. Mayor Roberts, we were able to provide food and water. Jim Crawl from our DPW volunteered to drive it down. Took it down, he went down. Just great stuff. And what a great experience for him to know to do that. Look what will be in a second trip next weekend, which I might head down to this, be able to get the mayor some other help. Some political pressure, be able to get some, pressure there to have them get some help. We just dropped off some generators, and so we're able to get a lot towards his region, which is the outskirts of Asheville, which has been the targeted approach, but some of these other ones, they're talking 5 days to get to people. Some of the stories are pretty incredible, to hear and know that people are going through that and going through those things. But it was kind of unique and great to see with all the items that were given. There was Bibles in there, like new. Nobody was like emptying their shelves. People who actually went to the store, thought this out, the Amazon order stuff. It was really great to be a part of that. I think everybody that was part of that experience really got out of it. Great time for sure. So that's pretty much the excitement that we had Before, and a lot of other things going on, budget stuff we're gonna talk about. Anybody else talk about, I know people, watch somebody lose, so we'll let them get to their game. So we're going to award reports.
Oh, I'm probably loud enough. Ward one's pretty quiet. I do want to thank Code, however, we had a couple repeat offenders with a few things over there. Roy, your department's done a great job getting out there and getting things taken care of. I really do appreciate that. And I immediately got feedback from, believe it or not, Roy told me tonight that everything had been taken care of. I reached out to the constituent who had the concerns, already saw it, tell them thank you. So Roy, thank you. Tell your whole department, please. Other than that, it's quiet in the ward. I do want to mention one more thing about the DAV drive. The mayor's been working really, really hard with us. That's another role I take on over the DAV. And we decided we're going to send at least one, hopefully. It was passed around last night real quick, as many as 2 more big vehicles. If people want to donate, please either get it through the mayor or the fire department over to the armory or deliver it to the DAV. These people need water and calorie dense food like you wouldn't believe. They are literally dehydrating and dying down there from starvation. And well, starvation hasn't set in yet, but it's getting there. Jim shared with me some very detailed stories, and I'm so grateful that I'm part of a group and a community who banded together no matter what we think about anything here or how this road ought to be done or that done. You know, whether you got an R or a D or an I next to your name, it doesn't matter. Everybody came together and they did a really, really good job. They need things like tarps, empty, brand new 5-gallon buckets, lots more water, you know, just tons, anything that keeps you alive. They've got more clothes and they know what to do with down there already. So it's not keeping warm for them, it's keeping people nourished and water and, you know, making sure infection and disease stuff doesn't set in, cleaning supplies, diapers for babies. Kids down there had washcloths on them when Jim rolled in for diapers. So a diaper is a hot commodity down there. But I just want to say, you know, from the DAV and myself, I'm really grateful that we have the mayor we have and the DAV that we have. They've banded together really well, and we've done a lot of good work, and I really would consider could encourage the community to continue to do that, as these people really have barely been reached out to at all. I believe, Mr. Mayor, we were told that we were the very first ones who reached out to them at all. And when we rolled in with a trailer behind a big Portland fire truck, it was, you know, one of the SUVs. It was a very, very happy day down there. I was told that the veterans were in their uniforms or semblance thereof, whatever they had recovered, lined up, waiting, guiding us in, and we're there to unload and distribute. It just amazing, amazing stuff. I want to thank everybody, and hopefully I can thank you a lot more before this is all over.
What town was it again?
Newland,
Newland?
yep. Newland. Yep. They're up there. People, they don't even know if they're alive. They haven't been able to get to them yet. 719 people when we started. I'm hoping we have close to that number when it's all over.
I thank you. That's all.
It was a rough weekend on the hill. SUNY Portland is a looming presence in the city. And SUNY is what brought my family to Portland. Hosting the college is a benefit in numerous ways. However, over the years, the college has relied more on off-campus housing for its students. Off-campus housing with no oversight or responsibility on the part of the university. There are rules of conduct and residential advisors for on-campus housing. None of that exists with off-campus housing. And it gets pushed onto the oversight, gets pushed onto our code office and our police force and our fire department. And it's a lot. This year in particular, there's a lot of student foot traffic and loud public disruption. Groups vary in size, are typically very drunk and very loud, regardless of the time of night. And we know that they're young, and we know that their prefrontal cortexes aren't fully developed until they're 25, and that's what controls impulse control. Nevertheless, it's a problem because they'll walk down the street at 2 a.m. as if it's 2 p.m. Or just wrapped up in their own fun time, will start screaming and shrieking sporadically whenever. And kids are, besides getting drunk, using other substances as well. On Saturday afternoon, we were coming home and I saw a young man about to pee on the retaining wall at SUNY. So I honked at him and he saw me. It was 12:30 in the daytime. He was about to pee on his wall. So I honked like, don't you do that. And he wheeled around and looked at me. And then he staggered up down the street towards SUNY. And we just sat there at the intersection thinking something's really off with this kid. It seems more than just drinking. And he came wheeling back around. And I thought he's gonna hit his head, he's gonna fall down or wander into traffic. So we tailed him, low speed car chase. I rolled down my window and talked to him and asked him if he was okay and did he know where he was going. And he just shook his head no. We called the police and they responded with such compassion and caring and expertise because they deal with this a lot. Also on Saturday, unrelated, our political banner got stolen off the front of our house by two girls who are also very drunk and thought that was hilarious and ran into their house, their neighbors. I'm concerned about Portica this year because the game will be at home and I want to be sure there's a strong proactive police presence. I'm concerned about the safety of the individuals and property, public and private, because this year is different than in recent years. There's an escalation in bad behavior, and it just reminds me of 2013. So I just want to make sure that we're doing our best to keep a lid on it. And I will pray for rain. And the team's been doing so well. Almost every game's been a blowout. They've only had one that was close. So they've got a lot to celebrate, and people who are celebrating them have a lot to celebrate. And I hope they bring home another national championship. That they're celebrating and they're celebrating. Currently, neighbors are asked to call the police, to call 911 for noise complaints in order to document and curb repeat offenders with the appropriate repercussions. But meanwhile, there are real emergencies in our small city and there are people in genuine crisis. How many of our collective resources are spent trying to keep the peace and patrol student neighborhoods? I would be interested in an audit after we pass the budget and that work is done. I'd really be interested in seeing how much of our city taxes that every ward is paying into go to spend our valuable resources trying to control, curb this crazy behavior. How much is spent breaking up brawls and treating alcohol poisoning? This should be alarming to all residents because all of your taxes are paying for it. And our city services are overburdened with it. Due to SUNY's outsized impact on our community, it's time that SUNY Cortland contribute to the city's resources by funding, in my opinion, 4 additional police police positions dedicated to policing student housing. We've asked before. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I think we really need to push it. And I think we need to have a collective, we need the people in the city to support us on this, and we need to push it as far and as hard as we can. I know the mayor has talked to SUNY Portland, and previous mayor talked to SUNY Portland about contributing to the city. And I realize Portland, SUNY Portland is a public university and not a wealthy, private behemoth like Cornell. Cornell contributes a lot of money to it. We don't get anything from SUNY Portland, and they don't pay property taxes. And if they are horsing around and pull an alarm and fire trucks go out there, we don't get reimbursed for that. And something's got to give. So, in short, it may take a village to raise a child, but this city is exhausted with the effort of curbing the uncivilized behavior of some young people in our neighborhoods. I'd like to make a plan. Perhaps we could form a committee to come up with some solutions. One of my constituents said that maybe the police department could deputize people, and those people could issue tickets, and they would be paid out of the fines that they accumulate on behalf of the city. It sounds kind of ridiculous and outrageous to me, but if we start brainstorming, maybe we can come up with some possibilities, some real solutions. Maybe the landlords could get together and write some controls into their leases. That would be helpful. So I just put it out there to all of you because we're about to do our budget. Money is tight. We have new concerns in recent years. We have people who are stressed and have no housing. We shouldn't be spending so much of our resources on this, guys. So thank you for your time and attention.
Third word's quiet, we're all good. I attended a town and gown meeting, on October 7th. And Sandy Wahlberg is the person from the college who, chairs the meetings. And I had explained to her that there was a woman on Pearl Street who needed help, raking leaves in her yard. And she, got a hold of the sorority, Alpha Phi, which I always said Alpha Phi. However, I know it's Phi because, I don't know, Greek alphabet, something. So Alpha Phi. And the vice president of Alpha Phi called me, and they're very excited to help out. And so I called the woman on Pearl Street. She said the leaves had not fallen yet. But she is going to call me as soon as they do. And I will call Alpha Phi and they will go over and break the fall. So they're really excited to be able to do a community service. I got a call about when is the police chief going to be appointed? I didn't know what to say. So if you could tell me, say. And also when a permanent secretary will be hired for DPW. So those two appointment questions would be helpful.
Headed to the college.
And that is it for the board.
Thank you. Mr. Thompson?
Deer population throughout the ward and fifth ward. It's gonna only continue to get more, I would say, dangerous as deer continue to move. But there are way many more deer within the ward, roaming in the last year, probably in the last 5 years that I've seen. And it's very concerning. Especially coming down Pendleton Hill. Back to weather changes, it's a bad situation. So there's concerns there. I do think DPW, related to their action to help out a constituent and the residents of Portland, that maybe just walking in Beaudry Park. Robin, thank you for addressing that. But there's a tree that's pretty dead. Be addressing that. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Carpenter?
I want to thank Roy for helping me with the Charles Street issue. We have someone else's property, it's over their property, it might come down eventually, so Roy's been right on that, and I appreciate all of it. I want to eventually speak to Mr. Weiss about, the drainage issue, Hickory Park area, again, now that we have a new DPW director, we have that, this spring, get that on the timetable, so we can figure that out. So, thank you.
Mr. Backlund?
Just real quick, I had the honor of attending, Elizabeth Burns ceremony, in New York State Court of Justice, well attended. Didn't see many of you folks there, but I wanted to make a point to be there, and it was all honor. You deserved it.
Michael?
Nothing really, pressing to talk about in the eighth ward. One call regarding lawn signs and, that issue is already being addressed, so. That was kind of a quick call and easily, resolved, so.
When long signs I see, it's a pass.
Wait, I missed it.
Not to be.
I didn't say it.
Would you
I said, the only long signs I see in Corbin's at Pat's house.
Yeah, big lawn.
That's all I have here.
All right, thank you. All right. So, can I get a motion to approve the minutes? Carpenter, Backward. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolutions. Agenda item number 1, receive 10 of 2025 city budget. As submitted by the mayor and set dates for budget review meetings, public hearings, and adoption of proposed and final 2025 city budget.
Resolved that the common council hereby acknowledges receipt of the tentative 2025 city budget as submitted by the mayor on October 15, 2025. And be it further resolved that the common council shall hold budget review meetings, which will be open to the public, third floor of City Hall, 25 Court Street, Portland, New York, as follows. On October 22nd, October 24th, October 29th, all at 6 p.m. October 31st, if needed. And be it further resolved that upon the common council filing the proposed 2025 budget, the city clerk shall publish notice of its filing, an itemized abstract of notice and notice of a public hearing be held at 6 p.m. on November 19, 2024, after which the common council may modify the proposed city budget, accept appropriations required by law or for debt service. And be it further resolved that on December 3rd, 2024, during its regularly scheduled meeting, the common council shall by resolution adopt the final 2025 city budget.
Backward, so Ms. Greenwood, maybe you can just do an overview. There should be if everybody got one in their packet. There should be a packet and a letter that I address the budget, to give the highlights, and kind of go over it.
Oh, shit.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I would like to start the process by thanking all of the department personnel who were very kind and patient with all of my questions going through this, especially being so new to the position. There is no way I could have put this together without the support I received. And now just for everyone, you'll note when you look at the actual copy of your budget, so everybody should also have actual copy of the budget. I've made a few formatting changes in an attempt to make it a little easier for everyone to read and follow it. I've separated expenses from revenues, so there's, first you'll see revenues for each fund and then the expenses for the fund. There's also been added a percent change column that shows the percent change from the 2024 adopted budget to this tentative budget. Just so when you're reading it in the evenings and perusing it, you kind of know what you're seeing. It'll probably take a bit to get through it. It's not a tricky slide. Okay, so starting with the general fund revenue, this year we're at $30,636,200 in revenue. This reflects property tax increase that's proposed at 4.5%, which is less than the 5% that was increased last year. The current sales tax amount is calculated using the agreement that is current with the county. And non-tax revenue was calculated conservatively. The one difference you will see, and you will notice this as you go through the budget, where grant funds are included, you'll see them both on the expenditure as well as revenue side. And that's where if you look at the project name, you'll see those reflected on both sides. So they net against each other and have no impact holistically on the budget, but we're trying to make it a little easier to track as those funds come in and then are spent. So it's a little bit more visible. And that's the first step we're working on implementing to better align our tracking in order to address some notations from the previous 2 years of audits, just so that we're meeting their requisites. Slide. Okay. How does the revaluation affect my taxes? I imagine that this is going to be a big question for a lot of people, and I wanted to be able to provide a very succinct way of looking at this. This is also described in the mayor's budget letter. So if you take a look at 2024, the full assessed value of the city changed significantly as you go over to 2025. So the tax rate, given the amount of property taxes to be raised in this budget, actually looks like a significant decrease in the rate per thousand from 1854 and change to 1197. That is because the full value that we're working against changed so much. In order to be able to compare this objectively across years, we took the median single family home, the value in 2024. Actually, we did it in 23 as well, to go from 23 to 24, and took a look at that increase from 23 to 24 for the median single family home. The tax increase came out to about $80. And then if you go from 24 to 25, again, using that median value home, because you see that median value changed from 89,200 up to 145,000, but the actual taxes using this rate with the increase is about $82. So just so that you can kind of, if people have questions, give them solid comparison. Obviously, not everybody has the median value home. So depending on where their valuation is, that'll be either less or more, but that gives a pretty good benchmark to be able to kind of understand how that revaluation affected people. Okay, next slide. Okay, general fund expenses by category. I generally consider costs from the least discretionary to the most discretionary. So least discretionary is our debt service. We absolutely have to pay that. We have no wiggle room. They tell us how much we pay it. The next is the personnel costs, both salaries and the benefits. We are contractually obligated to those costs. While there is a little bit of maneuvering in there, depending on, if people retire, we hire somebody in who's a little less expensive. Sometimes there are positional realignments, things like that. We do get a little bit discretion there, but not very much. So the area that we actually have some discretion is in that operational cost. As you can see, that's only, actually about a quarter of the budget, just under that. And that is the service provision. So in order to provide the current level of services that the city provides, this level of expenditure is what we believe that it costs. Going forward, I would like to work with the departments, and we've already started these conversations to better address our capital costs with a capital replacement plan. Planned replacements are better both for long-term budgeting and overall fleet maintenance costs. So that's something we'd like to start working towards. So that gives us something for next year. So stay tuned. Again, operations, we went through line by line with the different departments, and they'll come up and they'll discuss each of their departments, and they were very helpful because I don't have a history obviously right now. So talking to them about what they absolutely need to do their jobs. And I will say we have pared back even more than what had been done before. So there's really not any extra meat on the bone from what I'm saying. Next slide. All right, so the general fund expenses by the services that's being provided. This is a little bit, as you go through your budget and you look, this is where some of those grants are gonna actually have a bit of an impact. So it looks like certain departments are spending more, but if there's a grant associated, they're only spending that money. If you look over on the revenue side, if they get the grant, then they spend the money. So it's on both sides of that budget. If they don't get the grant, then they're not spending the money. So just so you're aware, I know parks in particular looks a bit high because of that, but that includes the EPF grant for the Randall Park bathrooms, which is only going to be spent if the grant's received. So just as you go down through that budget line by line, you see a number that kind of makes you raise your eyebrows. On the expense side, flip back to that revenue side and look for the project and see that there, a lot of times you'll see that that's why it's going to reflect back on the other side of the budget. Just for, as an overview, as well. DPW, the CHIPS funds had not been previously incorporated to both sides of the budget. So that's another place where it looks like, hey, how come DPW is suddenly so high from previous years? That's why. It's not that they have more money that they're spending. It's just that we're trying to make sure that we're accounting for it and showing everybody where it's coming in and going. So that's where it's a little bit hard when you make changes like this to do a proper comparison from year to year because we've changed something. So if you see anything that is confusing or makes you raise your eyebrows, please feel free to reach out and give me a call. So the police section includes the crossing guards, traffic and animal control in that number. DPW includes all 4 of the DPW lines, as well as the buildings and grounds, street sweeping, and the storm sewers. The youth bureau includes the administration, the rec building, all the programming, and then the playground lines. The parks includes the park maintenance, pool and beach, and as I mentioned before, that EPF grant. And then general governance includes everything else. So that looks very large, but bear in mind for that, the big ticket items like healthcare and retirement costs get rolled into that. So that is why that's a consideration. And along that line, we had general fund personnel benefits for retirement. This year, retirement contributions are typically a set percentage of both the payroll for ERS and then for PFRS. This year, ERS had an additional 1.3%. So we went from 15.2% to 16.5% of payroll for the employees retirement system. And for the police and fire retirement system, they decided to add an additional 2.5% payroll costs. So we went from 31.2% to 33.7% of our payroll for the police and fire retirement system. So those are some pretty significant increases across those retirement funds. Additionally, healthcare went up this year 14%. So that was a pretty significant increase as well. Next slide. Moving into the water fund. The water rate has not changed since 2020. The fund is struggling to keep up with the rising costs, as you've seen with everything else. Costs keep increasing and the rates need to keep up with those. Water fund and sewer fund, as I'm sure you're all aware, are not allowed to either make or lose money. They're supposed to cover their costs exactly cities where everybody wins, which happens so infrequently that we rejoice when it does. So, next slide, please.
That's the.
Okay, well, the last one just says, any questions? So I will take any questions you have, either specific or general, or if you prefer to have time to digest everything and reach out when it's convenient for you, that is fine.
This was a nice visual.
Yes.
Thanks so much.
Last I've seen in 10 years.
That's good. You had a question regarding water versus sewer, and
Yes,
not everything that comes out of the tap goes down the drain.
correct,
You drink it, you water your lawn, you wash your car.
right,
That's the difference.
right, but it's inverse if you think about it that way.
Well.
So that's why I'm a little confused by our 10 and 12s being the way they are currently. I agree with you, because you water your plants, your lawn, wash the car, but then you would anticipate that you would get more water for your minimum and less sewer. But yeah, it's very, so
Yeah.
Next one, we'll wrap, we're not gonna go in.
not today.
Anybody else have any questions? Please.
Councilmember Scott.
Aye.
Councilmember Zimmerman.
Aye.
Councilmember Pinello.
Aye.
Councilmember Lane.
Aye.
Councilmember Thompson.
Aye.
Councilmember Carpenter.
Aye.
Councilmember Beckwith. Councilmember Michaels.
Agenda item number 2, notice of intent to cancel a renegotiated sales tax agreement with the county of Portland.
Resolved that the city of Portland Common Council affirms that it is in the best interest of the city, county, and village and towns to suspend negotiations with the county of Portland on alternative sales tax revenue sharing methods until next year. And be it further resolved that the city of Portland Common Council, upon a 2/3 vote, suspends its notice of intent to terminate the existing sales tax agreement with the county of Portland until such time at which the common council acts affirmatively in issuing any further such notice.
I'll move it.
Second.
So, we had negotiated with the county, we had a tentative agreement that needed to go to their floor and get it voted on. They made the proposal, and I had no idea during negotiations what they were gonna give to the towns and villages, what that negotiation was with them. When they made that proposal to them, it kind of set them back a little bit, and the municipalities, rightfully so, had already done their budget, so it was difficult for them to accept that they noticed that they gave them. So with that, they have asked us to basically rescind what our last agreement to get out, so we can at least get through the next calendar year. And then they would open negotiations again at the beginning of the year and continue on where we were left off. But it gives them time to work out the details with the towns. If we do not do this 2/3 vote, then it would go to the comptroller's office for them to decide, because we opted out without us, going in and preempting. So that would be, so in best interest of negotiations, Screamwood and I went in the last meeting, Stella couldn't make it. It's last minute, with them to, basically want to pull out of what the verbal agreement was to try to work something out for next year. So I think in everybody's best interest, we all gonna work together, the whole county as a whole. We thought that this was the best method to go. Question? Well, please.
Councilmember Scott.
Aye.
Councilmember Pinello.
So.
Or Zimmerman, I'm sorry.
Aye.
Councilmember Pinello.
Aye.
Councilmember Lane.
Aye.
Councilmember Thompson.
Aye.
Councilmember Carpenter.
Aye.
Councilmember Beckwith.
Aye.
Councilmember Michaels.
Aye.
Agenda item number 3, authorize agreement with Country Acres Pet Services and Animal Shelter.
Resolved that the common council does hereby authorize Mayor Steve to execute an agreement which extends the terms of the previous agreement with Country Acres Pet Services and Country Acres Animal Shelter for a period ending September 1st, 2025, for sheltering services of impounded dogs in consideration of $200 per dog and a fee of $500 per contract month for other administrative licensing and access services.
I'll move.
Mr. Scott, Mr. Beckley. This one kind of got behind us a little bit. We're a little bit behind as far as getting this agreement done. But you know, this is, we've gone on quite a bit of time here working in this agreement, so I asked Lieutenant Q if he could come up, just give us some update on where this, where we are in configuration, maybe some stats.
So we are in our second year contract with Country Acres. Obviously, you know, let's start off with a separation from contracts with the SPCA. Since then, we've slowly implemented our road patrol to take on animal complaints most of last year into this year. We used those budgetary funds that were initially for the previous budget line to purchase our own kennel. We have 3 house locations within the city that officers can now take loose dogs to. And then when we have time, it's usually the midnight shift, we transport those dogs up to Country Acres. Recently this year, earlier, we hired a part-time dog patrol officer. She's getting her feet wet. She's taking on the calls at the time that she's here. And she is doing, I'd say 90% of the transports up to Country Acres now. Last year, all of 2023, city police handled 640 total animal complaints, and that's a combination of dog complaints, cats, bats, other woodchucks, I mean, you name it, we respond. And we had 81 impounds last year, and the cost for Country Acres last year was $22,162. To date, 2024, we are at 443 calls with 47 impounds. With some additional dangerous dog filings, and currently year to date, we are at 15,525 to Country Acres. Obviously, with some additional funds that are now going to the dog patrol officer.
Question, how many people ended up getting their dogs back?
Last year, that's a tough one to track directly. Last year, we had 127 dogs returned to owners and 61 to date this year. That being said, we don't know, like, when we take that dog up to Country Acres, it's not tracked if the original owner comes forward or if they are adopted. So, but our records, last year 127, this year 61.
It wouldn't be that hard for them to track though, right?
Probably.
You could request that.
Yeah.
The other thing that's noted is that we definitely changed, that's better is the way the kennel is, sometimes we hold those dogs, then usually people figure it out pretty quick. Instead of taking them there and paying that fee and getting them back. So that helps.
My other question is, I'm sorry.
If you get your animal back, am I correct saying this, that they have to pay the fee?
That's correct.
Yeah.
So
So what we spent doesn't mean really what we spent.
Correct, there's also the fees for the impound, there's also.
Like in your car impound, you want it out, you pay for it.
Yes, but that's also for us to ensure that they're licensed through the city, that's something that our dog patrol officer is now following up on.
Great.
A lot of delinquent dog licenses, rabies vaccinations, so we're slowly making headway.
That's why I brought that up, because you mentioned a $15,000 figure. We might have spent that, but how much did we receive back? You know, probably quite a lot.
That's good. Is Country Acres a no-kill shelter?
They are not a no-kill shelter, but the instances that come up are due to
Extreme.
extremes.
We need
A couple of instances.
They actually have, they actually raise funds and you want to like see if they raise fund and get grants to actually help do some of that.
Okay, thank you.
A question about the licensing. I know at some point, I think last year, we said part of the license, he would go to CNY staff.
So not sure what that number is collected at the end of the year, given that
I mean, there was a,
Yeah, but
like $1 or something like that.
there is a portion.
Yeah, I guess what, you know, but we increase fees.
Right. Right.
Get this down.
We could, next meeting know how much we've been able to get to see.
yeah, we just probably, I don't know whether we write a check every quarter or once a year.
That's great. Yeah, really is.
Everything else?
Thank you.
So I'm just gonna take the opportunity, so what SNAP being brought up and the SBC being brought up, and so SNAP has till 2025 to be the compliance that New York State has had, so. it's gonna be difficult, so in the next year, they gotta work on that. The SBCA, just announced today, is they're having some difficulties over there. I don't want to talk about their woes, but certainly they'll do anything they can to try to help them. They're value to the community outside and to us. They helped us with some dangerous dogs for a little while, that we weren't able to be held in the kennels, for various reasons and pushed out. That's still a court situation. But they are, so I think it's gonna be a surrounding concern and problem that we're all gonna have to try to work together as a community as a whole, because I don't know of any other spay and neuter clinics that, other than the SPCA, that are doing that, so that's an important part that would continue, longer term problems that, you know, it looks like we're down from 640 to 443, but those numbers will go back up if we don't keep up with the spay and neuter. I think COVID is pushing everybody to get a dog and everybody getting rid of the dog, so we had a big spike there for a couple of years, but still, it'll go back up. We're not ahead of the spay and neutering, so again, they're all valuable agencies working together. There's enough to do, so more to be in tune with that. Certainly we'll try everything I can. I talked to some of the members of the SPCA today, trying to help them work some things out.
You gotta remember, they put themselves in a situation too.
Understood.
I'm not trying to, you know, I appreciate what they do by all means, but.
Yeah, they look at
We're in this
comparing the
position with
numbers.
Lindsay because what they did to us.
10 times.
Right,
They were 200 and some thousand, so
right, yeah, I know.
that was.
But
I just
thank
wanted
you
to point that.
for working.
Yeah, we're trying to do everything we can to try to make it all work. So we will continue. Anything else? All right, Ms. Wood, please.
Councilmember Scott.
Aye.
Councilmember Sullivan.
Aye.
Councilmember Pinello.
Aye.
Councilmember Lane.
Aye.
Councilmember Thompson.
Aye.
Councilmember Carpenter.
Aye.
Councilmember Beckwith.
Aye.
Councilmember Michaels.
Aye.
Agenda item number 4, authorize agreement with the Portland Enlarged School District for snow removal and salt services.
Resolved that the common council does hereby authorize Mayor Steve or his designee to execute an agreement with the Cortland Enlarged School District for the services of the Department of Public Works for the plowing of snow and salting in and around the district schools and facilities according to an agreed to cost schedule for the 2024-25 school year.
Mr. Scott? Mr. Carpenter? I don't know the actual details of all the numbers. I don't know if Mike has them or not, but, so the school district will pay, for tons of salt and hourly rate for plowing their lots.
Well, I think we should have a number before you vote.
Okay, do you have that number up?
That's my opinion. I'm just one person.
No, yeah, you
I asked
asked
for
about
it for years, so I never got it. A lot of people didn't even know we were doing this.
What is the cost, do you know what the cost is of, do we charge it, what our salt rate is per ton, or is it above that, or do?
They charge the ODS contract prices, which is $70 and so many cents per ton.
Okay.
And every 5 visits, we have to get the 2 ton.
Well, what do they get paid to spread this out?
The hourly rate is based on, the employee cost.
So we're paying Joe Schmo at DPW $125, just throwing that out there. We're billing the city or the school district $125 an hour.
That's correct.
Just add into it, so.
Right, just this number out.
So everybody's title is different.
Oh, sure it is, yeah. And then you, weekends, overtime and everything else. They're paying for the weekend and overtime. Just asking because we never had it. We've been paying for it for years.
I would think it should cover a percentage of the maintenance costs too.
Of the equipment,
So
Equipment.
it's a good point.
Yeah, I know the past we included equipment cost for that. I don't really know where that was derived from, whether that was FEMA cost, or whether that was some cost that was figured out elsewhere. We can certainly look into that as well, it was in the past. We can help cover maintenance costs as well.
Thank you.
I guess I'd go ahead and approve this, knowing that at least paying something, but at some point in time, I think we should see some accurate numbers. How many times they make a visit?
We can report that.
Yeah.
It's always gonna vary, you know, so based on the license.
Or at least- least it's open to the public now, knowing that what we're getting for, they're paying for this, and we're not just doing it. But we already pay school taxes.
They lacked, it's been since I've been here, as we go, I don't know if it wasn't before that. That's what you're saying?
Yeah.
I don't know the history,
Yeah, we've never, so I brought it up a couple of years ago, I didn't know about it.
so
Yeah,
it's been going, so you must have brought it forward.
Yeah.
Here.
never had a number.
So
So we're getting there.
Again. Everybody else? Okay, move it please.
Councilmember Scott,
Aye.
Councilmember Silliman,
Aye.
Councilmember Pinello,
Aye.
Councilmember Lane,
Aye.
Councilmember Thompson,
Aye.
Councilmember Carpenter, Councilmember Beckwith,
Aye.
Councilmember Michaels.
Agenda item number 5, accept recognize donations to the police department.
Resolved that the common council accepts the donations listed below and appropriates the funds to the budget accounts as listed. A $3,000 donation from the Portland Breakfast Rotary Club for the K-9 program. Another $3,000 from the Portland Breakfast Rotary for the drone program. And a donation of a ballistic vest for K-9 court valued at $1,500 from the Leah Cornabene and Brady's K-9.
Yes.
Carpenter, Beckwith. Thank you. Just explain those items.
Well, the donation for the K-9 ballistic vest, Brady's K-9 Fund is out of Strongville, Ohio. They're a nonprofit organization, and this is what they do. They donate ballistic vests for K-9 partners. They have specifically selected a vest that's lightweight, works for the dog. It's made appropriate for the dog, and the vest that Court has been using is hand-me-down. It was made for Lummel, it was a little bit bigger dog, and it's a vest that's probably 12, 15 years old at this point, and the technology's not there. It's a lightweight tool, and we certainly graciously accept that gift from them. The Breakfast Rotary Club, Deputy Chief Bear and I met with them last week to receive these. Every year they have, obviously, their fundraiser. In the past, they have donated to both the McGruff program and K-9. And with the addition of the drone program this year, our McGruff fund was pretty stable, so that was split. Specifically for the drone program, to date, we've had 19 missions, which included public relations projects we've done for Portland School District. We've done for the college, some kind of overhead videography. Missing person searches, suspect searches, criminal investigations, high-risk search warrants, aerial photography of crime scenes, and even a search for an armed subject within a residence with our interior drone. Again, the program has not been long. This year, we used a small portion of the law enforcement technology grant. We purchased some additional add-ons for our drones. We now have a spotlight and a loudspeaker. They've been used repeatedly. We had a request today from SUNY Portland to assist with the drones at Portland.
We had a situation, I think it was last week, with an 8-year-old, 6-year-old. Michael's district, somewhere in there, and what, 15 minutes?
17 minutes. That's the officer, the operator was on duty, so definitely been very beneficial.
As you know, I agree, that matters. An hour later would be different, so we had a situation where we decided to get the drone that was on Main Street, that was 8 hours later. She was. And on my office for 8 hours, so it was several.
Don't worry, they weren't here for you.
It was several hours
Yeah.
later.
Put the drone in.
It was, let's see, it was probably within an hour and a half, I think it was, by the time. It's free. So, but they didn't find it with the drone. They didn't find it. There's a lot of people that came in.
We did find the cat that the child was chasing out of the house.
Led the person astray.
Just real quick, now you're talking donations, I know Paul saying he was the advocate of the deer, how's that funny? Is he still doing it, or?
I don't know.
Yeah, he's still doing it, and that's.
I don't think it's anything he wants to give up anytime soon.
I didn't think so.
That's still one of the current thing with his grandson.
Always retired, now we can buy the meat, relocate.
Yeah, you could go up to 4.
Yeah, the
Five.
ones that are outside of that.
Okay.
They jumped the gate now and then.
Yeah. All right, any other questions for, thank you. All right, thank you. All right, any other questions? Move it, please.
Councilmember Scott.
Aye.
Councilmember Silliman.
Aye.
Councilmember Pinello.
Aye.
Councilmember Lane.
Aye.
Councilmember Thompson.
Aye.
Councilmember Carpenter.
Aye.
Councilmember Beckwith. Councilmember Michaels.
Agenda item number 6, accept and recognize donations to the Court Youth Bureau.
Resolved that the county council accepts the donations listed below and appropriates the funds to the budget accounts as listed. A $100 donation from Kathleen Hernandez for the youth lacrosse program and a $500 donation from Timothy Walsh for the youth lacrosse program.
Mr. Scott, any questions on this? You know, all these people stepping up, helping you, that's great. I was able to attend the, football high school. Younger kids and the cheerleading, watch the whole group up there. It's, you know, bring back and growing and doing well, and, great to see them out doing that, and right, these, the cheerleaders, the line markers, it's great for the community, there's people there. So we appreciate all the youth bureau does, and the people that donate to it, thank you.
Amazing me every year since I've been on the board, how much money comes from for donations. Nice to see you still have.
Sure it is, thank you.
Councilmember Scott.
Aye.
Councilmember Silliman.
Aye.
Councilmember Pinello.
Aye.
Councilmember Lane.
Aye.
Councilmember Thompson.
Aye.
Councilmember Carpenter.
Aye.
Councilmember Beckwith.
Aye.
Councilmember Michaels. I can provide an update on the SNAP money. So in December of 2022, the council authorized an increase in dog licensing fees and appropriate $5 of the fee for unaltered dogs to go to CNY SNAP. Based on our licensing numbers, that total about $850 a year. Our licensing numbers are up rather significantly due to our efforts through the dog enforcement officers. So they expect it to be over $1,000 a year.
That's great.
Very good. Thank you for that. So the discussion items here is recommendations from the boards. With you here, there's a parking sign on Pleasant Street. Their motion was to recommend that the parking be prohibited on the west side of Pleasant for a distance of 20 feet north of the curb line, Clayton. And we're going to amend the city code book to say that signage on Clayton Ave, elimination of 20-minute parking on the lower portion of Clayton Ave. And then, motion was to take no action at this time and revisit the issue in the spring. Traffic control measures on Pleasant Street. Will, measures be placed on Pleasant Street for warrant drivers who need to stop ahead. And again, the motion was to deny that.
I actually didn't request that. I'm not sure where that came from. So
You
it's
just asked for a
a-
temporary thing that they're doing with construction.
Right.
Yeah, that was, maybe I didn't phrase it right, that it was, the understanding was it was a temporary control measure.
Be done soon. So it wasn't anything.
I believe the leaves, the EAC committee promoted, was trying to recommend to promote the residents to not make the leaves or pick up and leave them to unlock and decompose. They voted against that. There were concerns on stormwater and water flooding. Burning grass. And burning grass.
Right, always goes back.
So, yes, again, city trash program, so the operational changes, to the trash collection program, tracking households, VAC recommends, charging residents accordingly, so basically up the way to weigh, the totes to be able to do that. That's the EAC to them, they, opposition to, placing additional costs on taxpayers. For that, glass recycling, motion was made to, recommend a 1 recommendation on glass, so I'm gonna talk about that one a little bit. So the glass is a little more complicated than that because, we wouldn't be able to, we'd have to do a little bit differently than we're doing. As you can all imagine, if you pick up Coca-Cola glass, that would look like bouncing around the cheap nickels wouldn't notice, but you notice the glass on the side of the road instead of trash. So we're currently now the trash program is to, put it there, it did an all sort recycling, which will help them do single stream recycling for the county. Then it would be a different, because it would be just all one total glass. That's one of the tasks we'll look at is to try to come up with a different way to manage our glass and be able to get that so that it becomes more of a, instead of getting thrown out, be able to use more for recycling purposes meant to be. That's in work with the, so. Lots of conversations and lots more to do with the.
Yeah, people are gonna forget and there's other things in there and, yeah.
We tried that with the bins before.
So we're gonna hold off on that recommendation right now, but we'll put that in the glass committee.
Don't stop it, it's mine. Keep it.
The boxes, right? Yeah.
What is it gonna be for?
All right, anybody else have anything else?
Yeah.
Yes.
Could we put Parker School, an update on the Parker School project on the agenda for this time? Thank you.
And is there a timeline for the police chief appointment?
There is no time.
Okay, is there going to be a timeline soon?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Talk about that during budget.
Okay.
All right. Anybody else? Motion to adjourn?
I'll move.
Sullivan, second, Mr. Mel, all in favor? Adjourn, thank you.
Good night, everybody. I do understand. Oh, you did?
I may-